Hi, I'm Ruben Freitas, and welcome to the first step for excellent Portuguese speaking. Well, this whole video course is going to teach you a very different way of learning Portuguese. And if you follow every one of these steps, I promise that your Portuguese speaking will improve a lot. And I also promise that you will enjoy learning Portuguese. So, you feel more confident, right? So, let's get started. What is step number one? Well, step number one is always study and learn phrases, not individual words. Okay? So, what's a phrase? Well, a phrase is simply a group of words. Yes, a group of words. So, this is a very simple step, but extremely powerful. In fact, this is one of the keys to learning and mastering Portuguese grammar when you speak, and it's much better than studying grammar textbooks. Yes. So let's see. In your traditional Portuguese classes, how did you learn? Well, when you learned vocabulary, remember you had long vocabulary lists, right? Usually at the back of the chapter, there's a list, and you see the word, and then maybe a translation of the meaning in your own language. Right? So, you just studied these lists of words and tried to memorize them for a test. Then probably you forgot most of them. That's what usually happens. This is a very painful and boring method, right? I mean, nobody likes studying lists of vocabulary, right? Vocabulary words. So, good news for you. Stop doing it. Stop now. It doesn't work, right? You don't need to do it. You don't need to do it anymore. So, what you need to do is focus on natural, real Portuguese phrases. When you do this, you get free grammar. Let me give you a very simple example. For example, a Ana odeia sorvete. That means Ana hates ice cream. Let's imagine that odeia is a new word for you. Now, in the normal, traditional way of learning, you would find odiar, the word odiar, that version of the verb in the back of the chapter or in the chapter of your book, and you write down odiar. It means not to like something. Then you would study that version. Odiar. Then later, you would learn all of these complicated rules about how to change that verb in different situations. For example, eu odeio, ela odeia, with this change in the end of the word. Then you would learn the past tense in the future and all this stuff. So that's the old way of doing it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because it causes you to think too much when you should be speaking easily and automatically. So first of all, you get your phrase from where? From some natural Portuguese, not a textbook. And you write down, a Ana odeia sorvete. Okay, so write down the full phrase. Always do this. Never write down the traditional form of the word. And you might put a note, right? Put a note to remind you where that phrase comes from. So, for example, you might put it comes from a story that you read, or it comes from something you heard in a movie, whatever it is. It reminds you of the real situation that it came from. So by doing this, you're automatically getting grammar, right? You don't need to know about the singular or plural or anything like that. See, this is how native speakers, Brazilians, learn, right? This is how they learn grammar. This is how I learned, because I'm Brazilian. This is how I learned Portuguese grammar myself as a child. We don't study grammar. We Brazilians don't study grammar rules, and we certainly don't study vocabulary lists. But what we do learn from our parents and from other people is we just hear, right, natural phrases all the time. I feel the grammar. I feel it. I don't need to think about it. I feel it because I learned phrases, not individual words, not grammar rules, not from textbooks. So this is so simple, but it's very, very, very powerful if you use it correctly. But you must do it all the time, right? So never study a single Portuguese word again. Never. Always, when you learn something, right? Something new, write down the full phrase, even the full sentence. This is super important. Now, here's the easy way to do it. So go get yourself a small notebook, right, that you would carry around with you all the time. Carry it in your jacket, put it in your backpack, and then anytime you find a new word in Portuguese, right, maybe something you're reading or something you're listening to, doesn't matter, right? You're just going to write it down in your phrase notebook. Then when you learn new words, right, you just keep adding to it. Then in the future, when you review, right? So when you're studying, when you're reviewing, you always review the full phrase. And by doing this, you're going to learn how to use vocabulary naturally and correctly. You see, sometimes we use certain words in certain situations. There might be another word that means the same thing, right? But we don't use it in that situation. So how do you know that? There are no rules about that. There are no rules about that. So the only way you know that is studying phrases that you get from where? From real Portuguese. And by real, I mean not textbooks. So that's it. Very simple, right? So step number 1 is always learn and study phrases. Never individual words, please. We have 7 steps. Okay? So when you put them all together, you're going to have a complete new way of learning Portuguese. Yes, you will get fantastic results. So just follow these steps, right? Okay, so see you tomorrow for step number 2, all right? Bye-bye. See you there.